this evening. I'm going to give you a couple of things to think about. Some of you may not have attended a planning commission before, and so hopefully this will be helpful to you. One common observation that I see is sometimes people confuse us with the town council. The town council makes the laws, they make the policies. We merely interpret them, take the facts, and apply them. So if anybody speaks to us, keep that in mind when you ask us to do something. We can't change the law, we can't change the policies. If you want to speak on a matter which will be before us this evening, and as near as I can tell, that will be one matter, and that's agenda item 2. There are cards behind the benches. Please fill it out and bring it over to the clerk, and we'll be happy to hear from you. The applicant will be given 5 minutes to speak. Everyone else will have 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes to speak, and then the applicant will be given an opportunity of up to 3 minutes for rebuttal. Keep in mind that the Planning Commission has, in fact, done a fair share of homework. There's usually some documentation, and sometimes extensive. There are often plans, as there are this evening. We are familiar with all those things. And the other thing is, almost all, and in this case probably all of the commissioners will have visited the property, so we will be familiar with the property. So I suggest that to you so that when you direct any remarks to us, you help us knowing that we have that background. We still need your help, but it might be helpful to you not to have to revisit what we perhaps already know. The other thing I would just mention to you, if any of you have a cell phone or other device that makes noise, I would ask you to silence that now so we're not disturbed. Okay, so that's those are the preliminary matters, and if we could have the roll call now.
Commissioner Jensen?
Here.
Commissioner Sayok?
Here.
Commissioner Machichi?
Here.
Commissioner Talasfor?
Here.
Commissioner Bourgeois?
Here.
And Chair O'Donnell.
Here. If you'd all now join me, we'll pledge allegiance, and I'll ask Commissioner Bourgeois to lead us.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would let the record reflect that we have received 2 desk items on on item number 2. And in a moment, I'll check with the commissioners to see, because we just got them, to make sure they have had an opportunity to read them. But moving on for the moment, I would note that item 1, there is a requested continuance, which we will deal with shortly. And if there are any subcommittee reports this evening, I would simply ask the commissioners to give us those reports now. Commissioner Machichi?
Historical met, I only have one item, a removal from the inventory list for historical, which we did because the house wasn't recognizable from the amount of modifications that had been done on it. So that was it. We do have an issue there. We're soliciting a new member from the public, but I can only meet in the afternoons on the nights that they have, and my fellow commissioner cannot meet it on the afternoon, so we're going to have to resolve that.
I'm aware of that problem, and perhaps after we're through with the action items tonight, we can discuss that.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll reach a solution.
That's the report.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? All right. Seeing none, now is the time for verbal communications from anyone in the audience who wants to speak on a matter which is not on the agenda. And I have received, I believe, no cards indicating that there is anyone here who wishes to speak. That being the case, we'll go on to a continued public hearing, which is 520 Santa Rosa Drive, and there is a request here for continuance. Do I have a motion or a question?
I'll go ahead and move that we continue item number 1, 520 Santa Rosa Drive, which is A&S application S-05-115 and Neg Deck ND-07-03 to February 25th.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So it passes unanimously. The next matter is the public hearing for this evening, which is agenda item number 2, 15928 Union Avenue. Now, as I've indicated, we've received 2 desk items moments ago. Would any of the commissioners, pardon me?
Did you get approval of minutes?
I will. 1 second. Would any of the commissioners like more time to look at those desk items? Okay, then I'm going to step back for a second. It's been pointed out to me that I skipped the minutes, and we're supposed to go over the minutes. So you have before you the minutes of January 14th. Are there any changes proposed or corrections to those minutes? If there are not, may I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of December
14th.
January 14th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Telesfor. Is there a
Second.
Commissioner Bourgeois. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No. All right. Going back to the agenda item number 2, I understand the commissioners are now familiar with the desk items. So we can actually now consider the next issue on this case before we get into it. We have a number of requests for a continuance this evening. And I think we should discuss whether or not, 1, we are inclined to grant a continuance, and 2, if we are, what that means. We have a number of options. 1 might be to listen to the applicant, continue the matter so that all those opposed will have this opportunity to be here, and then allow the applicant rebuttal at that time. We could continue the whole matter, or we could not continue it and go forward tonight. There may be another option, but I don't know it. So those are the 3 options that I've thought of. Could I have some discussion or indication from the commissioners? Commissioner Jensen.
I am in favor of continuing it altogether, given the history of the project and the fact that there's a representative, Mr. Schwartz, who's written extensively in the past and today on the project, and then that, in addition to the letters we've received tonight and the communications, it seems to me that it is not a full and complete public hearing if we were to go ahead with any portion of it, and we also risk redoing anything we do tonight at a future hearing. So I would be in favor of continuing it altogether.
Other comments? Commissioner Machici?
Yeah, I would like to ask staff something first, if I may. If I recall, didn't this application come before us before for dividing it into 4 lots?
Yes, it did. The commission denied that application in
Yes.
June.
Right.
This is a subsequent application, completely separate and independent for 3 lots.
Right, which was kind of where we were asking the direction to go, I believe, at that
It
time.
was, but at the time, the applicant wasn't certain they wanted to go with 3 lots, and so the previous application was actually denied. The applicant chose not to appeal that decision, and then subsequently filed a separate application, which is the one that's before you this evening.
So we're only dealing tonight with land division, correct? I mean, the acquisition and site applications will come in separate,
Yeah, there's also the issue of demolition of the existing residence on the
demolition
site.
initially. So, I don't know, based on, I've only read the items quickly here, but I'm not sure that a continuance is going to offer any more information. We're not talking about buildings or height of buildings or, mass and bulk. We're only talking about the lot itself being divided. And as I recall, we directed it to go to 3 and they wouldn't, and they've come back with 3 with a new application. So I don't honestly see the need for continuance.
Other comments? Commissioner Jensen?
I just wanted to reply to Commissioner Machici, if I could. I fully understand what he's saying. However, some of the opposition is indicating that they are preferring only 2 lots. So I think that that is actually a factor that they should be allowed to address, and they have indicated a desire to change the date and that they can't be here. And given the history, I think we ought to continue it.
Commissioner Staff?
I was just going to mention that I do support granting a continuance. As Commissioner Jensen pointed out, there were 2 reasons. Specifically, the neighbor that is most affected by the proposed subdivision, whether it's 3 lots or 2, would be affected, and that person is not present and cannot be present. Also, I do have several questions of one of the public comments. It was a John Schwartz who also mentioned that he couldn't be here today as Commissioner Jensen. He provided two significantly detailed letters last time and another significantly detailed letter this time that I have several questions to. That does affect the subdivision in my mind, and I would like to have those questions answered before we move forward on that decision.
Other comments? Before we make a motion, let me just say this. It does seem to me difficult to ignore the requests for the continuance by the affected neighbors. If there were some way to split the baby, so to speak, and go forward this evening to save the applicant some time or whatever, I would be inclined to do that. But I doubt that that would help the applicant, because then we'd have a hiatus, because as I understand it, if this were continued, it would be continued to February 25th. That's the next available date. And my experience is that if you put it on tonight and, you know, the time goes by, that normally doesn't help the memory of the commissioners, particularly me. We're not hearing from the applicant. We haven't asked to hear from the applicant, and I don't know the pros and cons of that. But since a continuance is being requested by those that are not the applicants, and since we may decide to either continue it or to split it, I'm going to ask a question of staff for 1 minute, then I'll get to you, Commissioner. Is there any precedent for asking either the applicant, or if we open it up to the applicant, anyone else, commenting on simply the question of if we were to grant a continuance, how the applicant would feel about having some of it go forward tonight?
The question of whether to continue the matter, any matter, has been decided solely by the commission in the past or by council, and it has been decided after requesting information from the applicant, their opinion. I would assume their opinion is that they'd like to go forward tonight. But let me just remind the commission that you have the discretion to continue the public hearing for any reason, any good reason. Let me also remind the commission that the last day to act under the deadlines for acting on a subdivision application would be the 28th, I believe, of February. So the 25th would be the first and the last day that you could hear this matter if you were to continue it.
And the agenda, I have I think a copy of a tentative agenda. I don't know if it extends to the 25th. Maybe I don't have it. Do you have one here? Does anyone have the tentative agenda so far for the 25th? I'm wondering how.
Oh, we're going to be bumping items off that meeting, the 25th.
Okay. I think Commissioner Machici wanted to say something, and then Commissioner Talasfore.
Yes. If we were to hear it tonight, not continue it, and we feel there's insufficient evidence that's bring forward to make a decision, we can always continue it. We have that option. I think we're here tonight. I think there's some problems with the agenda going forward. I think we ought to hear it. And if there's any question in our mind that we want to hear more, then we can vote to continue it. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Since I've already been through this process once with this application, and I think some of us also have been. I think Commissioner Talasfore has also been. So, I mean, it's up to the rest of the group. I'll go whatever way you want, but I just thought I'd point that out.
Thank you. Commissioner Talasfore?
I'm caught between doing both things. I have a problem with the continuity. If we continue this, we could hear it in its entirety. I have a problem with the continuity of not doing that. So that's where I'm sitting. But there might be some advantage to hearing the neighbors that are present. I'm assuming that there are some neighbors here tonight. And we could start this, but I have a problem with the continuity of it all and how that would affect us in our discussion.
Commissioner Bourgeois?
I was kind of torn coming into this meeting, but just based on our previous decision, or times when we've split public hearings like this has not, the process has not been served well by that, I think. I think it's better to hear it all at one time, and so I think I would support continuing the matter altogether.
All right, why don't we have a motion and see how the commission really feels? Is someone, Commissioner Jensen?
I'll make a motion to continue 15928 Union Avenue, application number S-08-30 M-08-13 to the agenda of February 25th based on the multiple requests we've received from interested parties who are not here and present to make their points regarding this item, and based on Commissioner Bourgeois and staff's indication that splitting, and actually Commissioner O'Donnell, splitting the public hearing does not serve anyone well. So that's my motion.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? The matter is continued until the 25th.
And just for anyone following this application, there will be no further notice of the continued public hearing on the 25th of February.
Is there any, are there any staff reports or comments from the staff? We can go to, I think that what we can go to now are commission matters, and we do have a commission matter that Commissioner Machici mentioned. Apparently, there are some difficulties for commissioners scheduling, with particular reference, I guess, to the Historical Review Committee. Is there another time? Is there another time problem with another committee, or is it just the historical? Okay. When I parsed out the assignments, I tried to basically give everybody kind of what they wanted, and also even it out. There's one suggestion I could make. We're going to have a new commissioner, I assume, pretty soon. I would be willing to take the Historical Review Committee until that new commissioner is appointed. That might solve some problems. But I'm just throwing that out to help. And if someone else would rather do that, I certainly, that'd be fine with me. Commissioner Machici.
Yeah, a new applicant for historical showed up the last week. We made the beginning, and he understood that we were looking for 4 or 5. If he joined us, we have 4. For the time being, that'll be fine.
Well, I think we should have another commissioner on it, and I've always enjoyed that committee. It's a good committee. And assuming for the moment that people are otherwise occupied and it's an inconvenient time, I'm of an age where I could probably do it. Commissioner Telesworth.
I was going to say that actually for new commissioners, I've always thought, I know that was the committee I first served on, I thought that was really a good foundation for what is actually going on in town. So I think that'd be a nice assignment.
It's 4 o'clock on the third Wednesday.
Well, if no one has any objection and not rushing to do this, I will appoint myself for this interim role, and I think that probably solves the problem. Okay. I think that may be all we have. So this, I think, even beats the last meeting. Yes.
I just have a question, and I'm not sure it's for you or for staff. The retreat that we learned about that's coming up, how would we properly submit any items for discussion, or is there going to be an agenda distributed?
There is going to be an agenda. I believe that something already went out to the commission asking for suggestions on discussion items previously, and that I don't know if we can now add items or not, but please do submit those to us for consideration. I believe the council wanted to focus on the standards for excellence for running meetings, but there may be some time for other items, so we will be putting together an agenda.
Thank you. I apologize. I did get the best practices, but I didn't realize I could submit other things. I'm sure it'll be fine. Thanks.
Any other comments, questions? I think we can stand adjourned.